Your phone or your screen looks at you and goes, yeah, I don't recognize you.
Yeah.
She walked, you know you did not have enough sleep last night.
Right, hello and welcome to the Community and Recreation Committee meeting. It's 1 o'clock and the meeting starts at 1 o'clock. We don't have a chair at the moment because Brent is unfortunately not here, so I'm going to open the meeting and I will first call for apologies. Are there any apologies?
Wendy is on her way. Oh, she's right there. She had to, hello? Consider that. And Dan.
Yeah. We have apologies from Dan and obviously from Brent, who can't be here as well. We're happy to move those apologies. We have a seconder for those apologies. Excellent. All those in favour? Against? Motion carried. All right. Before we get to conflicts of interest, I would like to call for nominations for a chair to continue to chair the meeting today.
I would like to nominate Shona. She's the second chair. She is the second chair of the. Oh, seriously. Well, I would put my hand up except for well, I have to leave early, so. and Wendy's the third chair. Please.
Do we have any other nominations or anyone that would like to support that nomination?
Well, I'll support her. What am I supporting?
You're supporting Shona becoming the chair for this meeting while Brent is not there.
That's hard.
Are you happy to accept those nominations, Shona?
Yep.
Sorry about you just having to move now.
Yeah. I can lift my back there.
Do I have to pass a motion?
No.
No, I didn't think so. I do? Oh, yep, so, yep. All in favour? Shona, you are the chair.
You're just trying to emphasize for later. For next year.
Up to conflicts of interest.
Conflicts of interest, even better then. Right, conflicts of interest from anyone? Bruce?
Can't quite remember if it's on there, but there's a potential for a perceived conflict of interest if there's anything relating to the Rangiora Museum. I'm known as a patron and my dad's on the committee. I don't think there's an actual real conflict for anything before us today, but if I flag it now, it won't be a surprise later.
So you haven't seen anything in the agenda? I don't think there is.
There's a workshop
Is there? Oh, okay.
to talk about the Rangiora Museum.
Yeah.
Excellent. Anyone else? No, it's fine. Deputations, none. Right, first report. Rob, welcome.
Liam's going to join me as well. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and councillors. You'll excuse me if on occasions I might be a little bit hard of hearing. I have rather blocked sinuses, so my left ear in particular is quite blocked up. So if I ask for clarification, it might be because I haven't heard you. The report before you today provides a summary of achievement and progress made over the last 3 years in relation to Council's property acquisitions and disposals and housing activities. I'll take the report as read. It's quite comprehensive, but note that the primary matter for consideration is the focus of the coming year and the acceptance of the terms of reference for the Property Asset Management Working Group attached to the report. Happy to open it up for discussions and any questions.
Right, Nikki, then Philip.
Thank you. Just wanted to clear up something. We have in here, in our recommendation C, and talking about who is proposed for the group going forward, we've got Philip, Wendy, myself, Brent, and the mayor. But on page 74, we've also got, which I think is quite appropriate, Councillor McLaren. And so he's listed to be in this group on page 74, but he's not there in the recommendations, which I think is a mistake. And given that he is community facilities, I think he should be on this group. So was that an omission, or shall I change the recommendations whenever we move it?
I think it's fair to say this report was drafted over quite a considerable period of time, and at different points along the way, different names were put forward. So it is an error,
Yep.
but I'm happy for that to be open to further discussion if need be, or a correction.
Great. Thank you.
How do you feel?
I think he would make a very good addition, so, and
Anyone got any concerns
I-
around Bruce being added?
Well, it could be Darcy.
I know that, but
also, on that same page 74, we've talked about changing the staff support so that it just talks about the positions rather than the names of staff. But does the new terms of reference allow for Anna and Glenn, yourselves, to be on here? Because your names, or rather, I don't see that down here under staff support. Will you still be?
I'm happy to take advice from that from our CE and General Manager as to what an appropriate direction is that, but I see no reason why.
Or is that an as and when needed?
Yeah, I mean, we've got the staff support, which is at the moment identified as Simon Hart, Chris Brown, Rob Hawthorne and Tessa Sturley. We have a number of different staff members who then support us in being able to deliver things for this group. We wouldn't want to list them all. Glenn and Anna are absolutely important in that, but we also have green space staff,
Yes.
roading staff, right across the organisation. Simon Hart's, district planning, strategy staff, those sort of people. So we haven't listed them all. We've just listed these people to represent those other people underneath that will also provide us support.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I see that they're level 2s and 3s, so I just wasn't sure if it was the intent to allow for that further from there or not, so thank you.
That's fine.
Thanks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 3 brief things. On page 72 of Diligent, I think there's a typo. You've referred to ARC, A-R-K, I think it's A-R-C, as the correct group. With the terms of reference, is it contemplated there will be separate meetings of this group?
Yes.
Right. And in the terms of reference on page 74, I think it is, it said, it used to be good, we used to be able to call it a group, but I'm not sure how you pronounce BAMWG. Will, where appropriate, make recommendations to CNR and or council, but will not itself be a decision-making body. Previously, the group made recommendations, if I recollect correctly, direct to council. So is that a change where the group recommends to CNR, who then presumably recommends to council? Seems a wee bit convoluted.
Yeah, it says and or. So there's certain situations where we may already have budget which exists, and where you might be looking to do something different with that budget, where CNR had the delegation to do that. But most of the situations when it comes to land purchase, land sale, those sorts of things are likely to go straight to us. Just depends on where the delegation is. We won't be going to Community Recreation Committee and then to council on all situations.
Do we need to come to CNR at all or not?
Just in those situations where CNR have the delegation to be able to make decisions when money already exists in the budget and they're changing the purpose of that.
Okay. Thank you.
any other questions? So going back to the membership, Nikki?
If I may move, I would like to move the recommendations as listed. However, in C, I would like to ensure that we have the addition of Bruce McLaren, the community facilities portfolio holder, also included in C. I think it was just an accident because he's listed in the 2025 document on page 74, but not on the recommendations, so.
Do I have a seconder for that?
So if somebody would like to, sorry.
Just include and adjust the terms of reference.
I think it's actually in the terms of
The
reference.
terms of reference.
It's in the terms of reference, but not in the recommendation that we're voting on, so
Just
just to make
changing
sure
the
that we-
recommendation
yeah.
to match the terms of
So
reference.
on page 74, you'll see his name is there, but not in C, so, sorry, I couldn't see you across the room because I had my glasses on.
Do I
So
have
is there a seconder?
Do I have a seconder? Thanks, Wendy. Councillor Mealings, anything you'd like to say?
Well, I think I probably said it, but I support the changes to this working group. It makes sense. And the membership is also, I think, going to contribute to a well-functioning group. And I look forward to working with you guys again.
I'll just say welcome.
Anybody else with anything to say?
Just a point of clarity, one of my roles, not being a member of this committee, but as sitting on the Southern Hubs, Southbrook Sports Park group. Is this the appropriate vehicle for me to update the group and the councillors in the first instance? I'm not asking to be on the committee, but it is a pretty significant area of work potentially.
Civil property or?
I'm not sure whether it's property. It's probably more C&R related. Sorry, it might not be to this
Probably
report.
do it later when we do the updates.
Yeah, I can. Yep. Okay. Thank you. I missed that aspect.
Right, put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against? That one's carried. Thank you very much, team, very much. I'd like to tell everybody that Councillor Cairns is actually watching on YouTube. So say hello, he's just waiting for a train. So,
Waiting for others to join us.
no, he's on YouTube, just watching us on YouTube. He can't come online, so hello, Brent. Right. We have the update to the Northern Pegasus Bay Advisory Group Terms of Reference. Lexi and Mike, welcome.
Thank you.
So the purpose of this report today is to seek committee approval to update the current version of the Northern Pegasus Bay Advisory Group Terms of Reference. Just want to note that the timing of this report is to ensure that these changes are considered prior to the next meeting of the group in early February 2026, where the updated version of this Terms of Reference will be introduced to the group pending committee approval today. The draft has also been socialised with the advisory group prior to today and received positive feedback in support of the changes outlined by this report. We will now take the report as read and we're happy to answer any questions.
Questions, anyone? Philip?
Thank you, Lexi. How was the previous or former chairman selected?
Sorry, looking at me.
I'm looking at Mike because I wasn't here.
Thank you, Phil. Yeah, I don't know, VJ was instrumental in setting up that advisory group. And I just imagine he was appointed at that time when the advisory group makeup was first put together. But I couldn't actually tell you, Phil, for certain. Yeah, it wasn't actually in the terms of reference. So, yeah, as the first advisory group that was formed at that time.
So the members of the group may have possibly appointed the chairperson.
I know I was introduced to Al very early on because I only just started in the job at that time as well. So the decision had been made before I actually started. So, yeah.
So former councillor Blackie, was he the chair of that group?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And yeah, I just want to acknowledge too Al's input over those 8 years since 2017 and how much good work was done under his helm. And welcome Shona into that role. And we're looking forward to working with Shona, doing lots of great stuff on our beaches. Welcome.
Right, thanks very much.
Any other questions? Would you like to move something? Philip?
Need a second.
Seconder? Bruce? Councillor Redmond, you'd like to say?
Just briefly, I was part of the hearing panel that reviewed the Northern Pegasus Bay bylaw, and that was a very interesting experience, and I'm biased, but I thought we came up with a very good solution for all the recreational users of the beach. So this is the second part, and this group has been working well. I'd like to congratulate you, Councillor Powell, as perhaps being the next chair of the group. And I think the membership of the group has been extended slightly, so I think that's a good thing. And I look forward to it continuing to function as well as it has in the past.
Councillor McLaren, you'd like to say?
Yeah, just noting the difference between membership and participation. 3.4, there's 22 different groups that have been named, which I really welcome, ensuring that there is the voices heard and it's accessible to all. But of course, the trick will be to have the decision-making people, or the ones that are actually giving the advice, that's not outweighed by one group or another.
Could I just comment, Lady Chair? Yeah, it's a big, robust group. I think the beauty of the group is forming those relationships with those various user groups and having them around the table is the best way to keep on top of any issues before they arise or as they arise. And it's a good group. We have robust discussion, and this is the place to do that, and then to see the rollout of whatever changes we make out in the field that reflects that relationship and works best for the whole community. So, yeah, I think it's working really well, and it's a great report. Well done, Lexi.
I'd just like to say I'm really looking forward to working with the group. The coast is a very special place to me, so I'm really, really looking forward to it, and I really recognise the excellent work that has been done, particularly as Councillor Redmond said, with the recent bylaw review, and making it a great place for everybody to actually enjoy. Is what it's actually all about, balancing those needs and usages. So yes, I'm really looking forward to it. Anyone else, anything they'd like to add? I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against? That one's carried. And thank you very much, Mike and Lexi, for all your work.
Lovely. Thanks, you.
Bex.
So Bex has got a printout of the modified Arohatia Te Ao in terms of reference. The wrong one's attached into the report, but the actual changes are very, very minor. It's actually just the names of the people that are in the group that have been changed. So, for completeness, I'll hand it out for you as well, so you can see it and know what it is that you're considering.
Yeah, so I'll start by apologising that the document appended to the report was the modified terms of reference from 2023. So the one that you now have in front of you is the modified terms of reference for 2025. And thankfully, the changes are not wide-ranging. They reflect changes in membership to reflect the new council. Staff titles have been put in instead of names, just to mitigate any changes in staff turnover. And then we've also updated the name of the Rebels Road development. I'll let you digest that and then happy to take any questions.
Right, any questions from anyone? Councillor Lee.
Thank you, Bex. I'll start off. Under 2 membership, I notice you've got Arapata Reuben by name and not by group. Given you're removing individual names, should his name be removed?
We left in the names of the elected members and of the Runanga members, and we took out the names of the regional council staff and the Waimakariri district council staff.
Okay. I notice under section 3, the water environment advisor has been removed. Yeah. Why is that?
That's right. So we've taken the water environment advisor from staff support, and they are now in the membership section.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we figured the water environment advisor was probably a key part to the puzzle.
I thought that was the case.
Yeah.
And under 6, excuse me, I see you've renamed it Revels Road rather than Lineside Road. Is there any reason for that? It is well known as Lineside Road.
There was an appetite for it to be named Revels Road just in the interim before we actually get a name for it through the process of figuring out what that land is going to look like.
I thought you were going to note there's 2 Alps in Revels Road.
Yes,
Oh, apologies.
just checked her, double checked.
I think you're right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Mealings. Yes, so with the Revels Road thing, is not the address actually, I think 52 Revels Road or something to that effect, 1552. So whilst it borders Lineside, its actual address is Revels Road, is it not?
Yeah, that's right. It's from memory, is it 40 Revels Road or 40 Lineside Road and 105 Revels Road?
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I knew it was something like that, but I thought I had a Revels Road address. Now, also, Bex, I briefly discussed with you and have discussed with other pertinent people that your thoughts on the inclusion of the drainage when Three Waters portfolio holder, Councillor Fulton, in this group, given that, you know, I mean, this project is not just about Revels Road, it's about all kinds of projects along rivers and waterways, and it seems to be a pertinent inclusion to the group. Would that be an asset, would you think?
I think it would if it is a recommendation that is agreed on by the group.
Yeah. Because there are no further questions. I would like to. Tim,
We need to.
if has got a question or have.
Okay.
One was, so firstly, just the inclusion of the Waimakariri stormwater engineer, not being so familiar with the scope of this group. So does the group have a sort of a department lead? Is it a CNR sort of lead supported by water drainage people, or is it who has the organisational lead? I know it's a very technical question, but I just sort of noticed that that's a new position, the stormwater engineer, which has sort of got a different focus potentially to environmental treatments and, you know.
So it's an integration really of the departments, but the stormwater engineer, it's really important to ensure that when we are designing riparian areas, we're doing it in a manner that enables the engineers to get into watercourses if they need to clear them, and And just to ensure that we're not going to be blocking any waterways and causing any issues further downstream.
For what it's worth, I'm heartened to hear that, so thank you.
I would like to make a motion. I would like to move, but the recommendations as printed, but I would also like to include Councillor Fulton as one of the elected members on the group, given the portfolio that he holds is very much applicable to this project, and I think that the ecological water lens that Tim would bring to this group would be very useful around the table.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor McLaren? Nikki, anything else you'd like to?
No, I think that pretty much says it. I think that this is a really exciting project. There are a lot of moving parts to it, but there are so many great outcomes that can come from this, from both a recreational perspective to an ecological and water quality. I mean, there are so many pluses to the work that gets done in this group, and we just really need as good a team as we can get together and get moving and get things done.
Councillor McLaren.
Yeah, just one small note just around legal responsibilities. I might just going to just revisit that just to make sure it's worded correctly. It starts about talking about complying with all relevant legislation and regulations, which are quite specific instruments, statutory instruments. The addition, well, there's a typo, I think, there, and policy R introduced from, I think, remove the R, but then there's added in the Waimakariri Natural Environment Strategy in a list of central government pieces of legislation. I'm just not exactly sure how the strategy fits in the framework, the legal framework, in terms of being an act or regulations, and whether it's something that's or must be cognizant, the group must be cognizant of and consistent with. Just maybe just a little bit of a tweak in there, especially as it's such an important document. Thank you.
So you were seconding the motion?
I seconded the motion already, and I was talking to it. And now we're done. Now we can pass
Okay,
it.
before we put it to a vote, if it's deemed that we maybe need to tweak that a bit to make it work, would regulatory framework be a better use of words? Because that would that enable us to use our own strategy in the same context as the legislation?
We can change the actual title of that section to legal responsibilities and policy framework.
Yes.
And then
that.
we can list the things underneath.
Okay, so, yes, please.
Councillor McLaren, are you happy with that? Changing the motion to that? So has everybody got that motion now, what it's changed to?
Before we do,
Yep.
I would just like to just confirm with the gentleman that he's happy to take on that role too.
I was going to ask him.
Because I think that's very important before
It
we vote
is,
on it.
you're right, we.
Thank you for the consideration and the question. Yes, I am happy to take on that role, but thank you, Councillor Diddy.
Thank you, Councillor Fulton. Courtney, have you got the amended?
Thank you, Wendy, for raising that, but just to put your mind at ease, I did discuss this with him.
Yeah.
So to put it on the record, yes, Councillor Fulton does consent to us putting his name down, as do the others.
Thank you for that.
So thank you for raising it.
Anyone else got anything to say? No, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against? That is carried. Thank you very much, Bex. Right, the aquatics update. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you very much for having me. So the purpose of this report, hello all, is to give you an opportunity for a bit of an update about what is going on in aquatics and our performance against key performance indicators. The report contains some information around attendance, which is currently up by about 2,000 swims compared to the same point in the previous year. There is some information about our YSwim Schools program and how well it is progressing against national indicators. and an update about some information around some new legislation around gift cards and how that will impact on our concession and membership. Happy to take questions.
Mr Fulton?
Thank you, Matt. Probably wouldn't be about a meeting without me asking you about the Oxford pools. I noticed that there was got a bit of feedback in the last month as to, as the opening date, was that consistent with previous years? That felt on the later side, so it's all as expected. Okay. The other one, and something I observed myself, was actually the number of gas bottles that we have in there. Quite phenomenal when I saw the truck rolled up. So how many gas bottles do we go through? Actually, you can come back to me with that information. Yeah, it's quite something, isn't it? You know.
To your first question, yes, the season begins on the last weekend, the Saturday, the last weekend of November, and then runs 15 weeks. So that usually gets us through to mid-March. And the reason for that is then we capture the most opportunity for Oxford area school to get in as well, and the best sort of weather in that kind of, I mean, you'll know the area better than I do, so, but the best kind of, we kind of hit better weather environment in that kind of period. I believe off the top of my head it's 22 44 kg gas cylinders, so for LPG gas for the boiler. In the first week we probably cycle those at least a couple of times, and then from then on it's about one load of gas per week, I believe, so yeah.
That's the most sustainable, cost-efficient way of powering the pools, yeah, because the community at times has come back and looked at other options for covering heating and powering the pools, so that's
the system we have at the moment. That is definitely something that we're discussing as part of long-term plans and future strategy planning. Is that the best and most efficient way to heat the pools? And if not, then what is, and what would be the most fitting solution for that environment and that facility?
This is the environment.
Is it?
Councillor Redmond, then Nikki.
Hello, Matt. Two questions. What are the charges in Christchurch at their new facility? Do you know what they are?
Not off the top of my head. I did do, if you give me 2 seconds, I can have them. I did do some research recently ahead of my budget, which I've put through, which will be coming in front of you in February sometime. There's some information in there that has all the charges, I believe.
I can answer.
Oh, thanks.
Yep, that's okay. Quick Google, wasn't off the top of my head like with Matt's gas bottle. But it's $18 for an adult slide pass, $13 for a child, including pool entry, and then there's obviously various membership options as well for gym and pool access and multi-visit passes.
Right, so it's significantly dearer than our offering?
It is dearer than our offering, yes, as is Selwyn.
Yeah.
However, during COVID, some choices were made by other councils to hold fees and charges. We made a choice to do small incremental changes, and most recently Selwyn, I think, had to put their pool prices up by about 10%. So those councils are now starting to have to play catch up, where we are actually pretty much bang on the national benchmark for pricing. So compared to our neighbours, we are a little bit more expensive. However, nationally, we're spot on the average.
Right, thank you. The other question related to the statistics and the nice bar graphs you provided for children. I note between years 0 and 2, and even 3 and 4, we're doing better than the national average, but that in year 5 to 6, we're not doing quite as well. Is there any reason that we know of why that would be?
Yeah, totally. There's, as is indicated in the report, there is a bit of a fall off in that kind of age group. It's not as cool to bring your togs on and be involved in those sorts of things, and that does, participation definitely is something that we struggle with, and we try and keep the lessons as interesting and as motivating and as we can to keep participation up. However, yes, it is definitely something that we're struggling with, and we're trying to work with the schools to identify if there are any key causes, root problems that we can help support and address to keep those inclusion rates up, and therefore see those accreditation, the pass marks getting higher as well.
Right, good. How many children participate in the Y-Swim program? Roughly.
This frustrates me because I know I just read it recently as well. Well, I can't remember off the top. I'll have to come back to you, sorry.
I thought it may have been something like 7,000.
Yeah, it sits around that, 7,000, 8,000, something like that. Yeah, it's quite a few, yeah.
Right, so it's a very successful program.
It is.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Matt, this report talks about concession rates and that, so this is slightly off topic, but just wanted to ask you, we were talking last year about a potential Oxford-only concession for, given the more isolated nature of those that live in Oxford and are likely to only use that pool. Are we still looking at that? Are we any further down the road with that, and when is the best time to be considering it?
I struggled with that a bit as I tried to use a pattern. I did a lot of research into what other facilities hold, and it's a lot of dartboard throwing exercises by other councils of just, let's put a stab in a line in the sand and call that the concession rate. We do have a number of child concessions that allow discounted entry and all of that. I appreciate they're not specific to Oxford, but they do meet some of the need as far as I understand from the community members, unless you're telling me that it's not, and I need to do more work on that, and that's definitely something I can push on again.
Okay, thank you. So basically you've weighed it up and you feel
we
that
have
we're pretty well
options
covered
available.
the way that it's structured right now. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Judy.
Thank you. Just a question, please, with going back to the years 5 and 6, which is 101. I'm just questioning, you said that you're not too sure why those children weren't participating the same like they were. Is there any way we can encourage perhaps those children that have dropped off to come back in again? Because that's really important.
It is very important, and we look to work with the schools. Another aspect is their options for technology courses open up, and so there's few of them coming through because they might have sewing or baking or metalwork and different options available to them. We are passionate about what we do, as you can imagine, and so we try and push the importance of that swim education message to the school.
Well, it's really important that they can survive in a situation in water. So that's just one of the top priorities, really.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Anything happening over the summer break?
So we've got some maintenance close down work happening at Dudley Park Aquatic Centre. So during that time, it's ideal time for us to do it because Oxford Pool is open and Kaiapoi as well. So there'll be programs scheduled to run at Kaiapoi and Oxford to support. We've reached out to all our membership and concession card holders, so they're aware. Public information's going out shortly. We're just getting sign off from comms before that goes out. Otherwise, we'll have inflatables in the pool, 1 to 3, so lots of chance for grandkids and children and all of that to come down and burn out all that energy, enjoy a nice bit of sunshine if they're out at Oxford, and get some of that, great family bonding time that is so key to what we do.
Right. Thanks, Matt. Any other questions from anyone?
Would you like to do something? I'll move.
Thank you. Seconder? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Wendy, anything you'd like to say?
Just to say thank you very much for this report. It's well done, and it's interesting to see just how the aquatic centre is going and the level of use, it's great. All we've got to do now is just push some of those kids to come back. So thank you very much.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, a good report, Matt. As you note, there is some room for improvement with some of the 4 to 6 year children, possibly. My school report always used to say room for improvement. So there is some room for improvement there. The concession cards are an interesting one. I hate it when people give me cards for Christmas or my birthday. I invariably forget to use them, put them away, and I went to use one the other day and it's expired. So I can understand the reason for the government doing this, but I'm not sure whether they expected they would catch concession cards at swimming pools. But nevertheless, if we're caught by it, so be it, we need to comply. The good thing is it's not likely to have any financial repercussions, as you know. And the final two things, you are getting increasing numbers, which is a good sign, and we're getting into your peak season, I would suspect. Certainly at Oxford with their lovely open-air pool. We may see Councillor Fulton having a dip out there. And the other matter, that Why Swim program is an excellent program. I know Rotary through Craig Sargison brought along a proposal that Rotary offers some significant funding, Rotary Club of Rangiora, towards that program, and I'm sure there are other contributors as well. So it's a very well supported and well run program. I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but it is thousands of children get that opportunity. And bearing in mind we live on an island and we have rivers, it's very important that people do learn to swim. So I wish you well over the summer months.
Anybody else? I'd just like to endorse what has been said and also highlight that the Waikuku Beach paddling pool is very well used over the summer and people really do enjoy using that. So that's another part to the pools that is often forgotten about. So I'd like to add that one in. Councillor Mealings.
Yes, Matt, this is another great positive aquatics report. Thank you for that, and thank you for the work that you and your team do. The recommendation says it all. We note that that the attendance is up 8.6% from last year, which is great. So we're trending up. Good to see. Having concession cards last for 3 years instead of 1 year can only be a good thing. It's not going to really make much of a difference to us, but it may make a difference to some poor person that goes, "Oh, I found this thing," and oh, bummer. So look, that'll be a good thing. And I also love to see that we have such strong achievement by our kids through the Y Swim program, and my own children went through it themselves and did very well and very much enjoyed it, and it's good to see that it's just going from strength to strength. So well done and thank you.
Right, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Those against? It's carried. Thank you very much, Matt. Much appreciated. Luke, libraries.
Kia ora koutou, kia ora to Councillor Keens beaming in from home. To those of you who haven't spent as much time with me, kia ora, ko Luke Sol tōku ingoa. I'm Luke, I'm the District Libraries Manager here. Probably one of the better roles in council. I'm very blessed. Yeah, I'll take the report mostly as read. Just to sort of cap off sort of the year in review, just quickly. Been a really busy year for us again. Our libraries are increasingly busy spaces, incredibly vibrant, with visitation increasing by around 10% per year, Rangiora and Kaiapoi. So that equates to almost 400,000 unique visits now. So yeah, very, very, very busy year for us. And just to very briefly highlight some areas of the report, we had some recent success with our robotics club. They've got into aquabots, which are submersible robots that go under the water. So these were actually tested at the Kaiapoi Aquatic Centre, which was pretty cool. I didn't know much about these before my team came to me with this idea, but it's really about building those STEAM concepts, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics. So really great, to challenge that sort of broader sense of literacy that libraries provide. Libraries have always been about books and inclusion and all those things, but actually starting to build vocational skills and building soft skills and that social connection with those children who are participants. They didn't know each other before they joined the robotics club. They've come to know each other pretty well. They've done really well regionally, so they fundraised to go up to represent us nationally. And they ended up getting 4th place out of 22 teams in the country, which was pretty impressive. I was quite surprised, but they said to me that they weren't surprised at all. They've got a lot of self-belief. So they came first in 2 of the 5 set tasks. So yeah, we're really proud of them. They narrowly missed out on qualifying for the international. So that would have been a bit of a head scratcher for us had they qualified. So yeah, we'll see how they go next year. Just quickly, we're looking to commence a trial delivering selected mobile services to our outlying communities utilising the existing mobile community hub vehicle. It's a fantastic opportunity for us to dabble in a bit of community outreach without a huge initial cost outlay. Having been involved with the establishment of a mobile library when I was at Selwyn District Council, there is a significant cost involved with us with setting up a mobile service. So this is a way of us making some contact with some of our outlying communities. As some of you know, I live in Oxford, heavily utilise that library, but we know that there are communities, West Earton, Sefton, Woodend. There are parts of our communities that are quite underserved currently. Some people are socially isolated, particularly our older communities that actually struggle to come to our physical spaces. So initially this will be about aligning with things that are already happening in the community. So we're not going to reinvent the wheel, we're going to take the service to where people already are. It's a curated service, so we're not going to be able to carry lots and lots of books and things with us, but we'll have some resources with us. We'll look to do a little bit of programming out of it, particularly in sort of the digital skills space, hoping to connect with older adults with that. So yeah, so it's a trial for 3 months, and then at the conclusion of that trial, we'll report back on some options for whether this might be something we might like to do longer term. Just very quickly, we're intending to retire the entrance mural at Trevor Inch Memorial Library. That mural was commissioned by staff in 2003 and was painted by Gerald Horton. We recently had Nick Horton do a little bit of work for us, and he was quite surprised to see that it was still there. It does need a little bit of maintenance now. We've had some feedback around the content of it. It's quite old school. I can see a few smiles. Yeah, we've got sort of fixed computer screens, and we've also got a figure holding the hand of a small girl who bears an uncanny resemblance to a prominent American politician. So yeah, so that's sort of where we're at with that. So we've got some upcoming work to the facade of the Trevor Inch Memorial Library, to the chamber building on Percival Street. So we're doing a little bit of remediation work to the brickwork there and repainting. So if we coincide this work with that, it's really going to be quite cost effective for us to retire that mural. And then we intend to work with Waimakariri Public Arts Trust next year to have a bit of a think about what a replacement might look like, bearing in mind, if we were to just paint a mural on one of those faces, because it currently wraps around the whole entrance, it will be a lot more cost effective than a full-sized replacement. So yeah, look, absolutely happy to take questions. Thank you.
Questions? Councillor McLaren, then Councillor Doody.
Probably two questions. The first one, would you be able to tell us a little bit more about the DigiCoach program? And I understand the second tranche is coming out, but I don't actually know much about the first one. So.
Yeah, so we were approached by MSD and DIAA, which is the Digital Inclusion Alliance Aotearoa. It's quite the mouthful, that one. They had some funding from MSD to provide digital skills coaching within libraries. So we were part of a national pilot for that alongside some other councils in the Canterbury region. That went really, really well for us. So we got 2 job seekers, 2 local guys that were sort of between jobs. You know, both had a trades background, hadn't spent a lot of time in libraries, but, you know, amazing rapport with the community and, you know, built their, you know, appreciation for what we do, and they really enjoyed it, and the community got a lot out of it. So they both went on to employment after that. So this is a second tranche, and so, you know, given that it worked so well first time around, they've approached us again, asking if we'd like to participate again.
Just around space, particularly in Trevor Inch, I understand the refit and the shelving replacement is enhanced the experience, but of course the space is still at a premium. But I am concerned about the small meeting room of the chamber gallery. I mean, they're both architecturally significant spaces with a lot of significance to us. As a council, we invest a lot of time and attention to our Anzac and Armistice celebrations. And that small room has those roll of honour boards, but due to space constraints, it's now become a storage dumping ground for just all sorts of inappropriate stuff. And when visitors come, enjoy the chamber galleries for what it is, and that space should be equally celebrated and accessible for visitors. So what are the plans to make it into the space that it should be?
Yeah, absolutely. As you've identified, there's significant pressure on that particular part of the library. You know, we've got our partnership with the Chamber Gallery. They program that space all year round. You know, we have our JP service, which, you know, we really appreciate, which runs out of that space. Increasingly, you know, there's a lot of people attending that. Yeah, and the part of the issue is the other room that's adjacent is not really set up for public library use because it's sort of a back room from a health and safety perspective. It's not ideal, really. So, look, it all sort of feeds into our design brief for our library extension, and within that design brief, there's provision for smaller size bookable rooms, and you know that it's only when we get that facility that it really ultimately take that pressure off. Fortunately.
I'm going to come back on with just a step down. I think it can be cleared out right now. I mean, having 12 chairs in a room that size and a great big table that is inappropriate, boxes of stuff and banners and things can go somewhere else. I don't know where, but it might not even need to be in the same building.
We recently worked with Neil and with Glenda from the JP service to streamline, you know, how we use that room. So I should have mentioned that we're actually retiring some of the furniture in there, making that room a bit more user friendly. So yeah, absolutely.
And for the Arts Council, they store things they're not using for the current display in their like various pedestals.
Yeah, we've moved some of those plinths and other things out.
Yeah, plinths.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Doody.
Thank you. Just was really moving on from what Councillor has just spoken about with where the JP's work. Is there why I'm asking this question is because doing JP work up at Oxford Library in that private room, and then coming down and doing JP work down in Rangiora when you're around this big table, and you've got 2 JPs and you can hear what the other one's saying, and to me, that is not appropriate. But I'm just wondering if there's anywhere else where the room there where the JPs could go and have have their clients in a place where no one else can hear what they're saying.
At Rangiora specifically?
Yes, yes. Oxford's perfect.
Yeah, so we recently sat down with Glenda, you know, from Justice of the Peace.
Yes, I know who you're talking about.
So I think it's probably operationally partly a question for them in terms of, you know, what does best practice look like for the JP service. We're more than accommodating in terms of where they deliver.
Yeah,
in Kaiapoi, we recently made a change to pull it out of a meeting room onto the floor. We have the space there to do that.
Yeah.
That was their preference. So look, if you've got specific ideas around, you know, where that might be best delivered. At the present time, when I asked Glenda about that, she said they would prefer to be in that room specifically.
That's fine.
But we're quite happy to work with Justice of the Peace around that.
Thank you. It was just that having done the both, I know which one I'd rather sit at. The other thing is, I'd just like to say that I'm really thrilled to see that the children are learning to sew, which should have been done in the school and not in the library, but it's great to see that happen, and I really commend the girls team for doing that. It's a real initiative, so thank you. There was something else that I just, I know, Trevor Inch, have you spoken with the family about taking that mural down or covering it?
Yes, informally, the family have been spoken to, and I don't believe that the mural is of significance to them.
That's fine.
Yeah, the figure depicted is not true.
No, it's not. No, it's not now. But that was a question I just wanted to ask. Thank you. Thank you for your report.
Any other questions? Sorry, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Thanks for the report, Luke. Does the community hub van have capacity for Fridays each week for 3 months?
Yes, it does, and you know, we've booked it, but existing bookings are going to take precedence. So currently there are no bookings for that particular slot. Look, if it's needed for more pressing matters in the community, particularly for emergency management response, anything like that, then obviously we would forfeit our use of it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Luke, for this report. I was just really pleased to see the pop-up library concept out rolling. I have a feeling it was involved in Selwyn, was it, before you, perhaps in your previous life? So that's really good. I wonder whether there's an opportunity there when you're present in one of these more outlying communities for it to sort of serve as a sort of a proxy, you know, one-stop shop for people to pop in and ask questions of council staff. Whether I know I get a lot of feedback. People say won't come into council offices or service centres. They'll come to their councillor. But if they're local, if they know that they're West Eton every 3 months, they might come to the hall and they might want to ask questions about district planning, water services, roading. I wonder whether there's any way of working with having a staff member present outside even the libraries team.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's sort of the approach that we've taken with the likes of
I know it's not your primary purpose, but it might serve as but reinforce that idea of community presence from the council at some of these pop-ups.
Yeah, no, noted, and yeah, more than happy to chat about that.
So I assume you'll see how the trial goes and then look at where to from there.
Yeah, feedback. Yeah. Particularly those service request sort of type, you know, duty planners, water, roading, those sort of regular chestnuts.
Any other questions? Somebody move.
I'll move it. Thank you.
Councillor Moody, do I have a seconder? Councillor Mealings.
Luke, thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Really appreciate your report and what it's doing in the library. It's great to see. It's really great. And I just love what Oxford does in their library up there. So it's really fabulous to see the participation in other areas and see children thriving in their reading, and the homeschool children using the area as well for their benefit. It's really commendable. Thank you.
Luke, thank you for this report. We talked about a few specific things here, but this is your year in review, and you've done a lot of great stuff. It's really exciting to see all the things that the library gets up to, and it's always one of my favorite reports because, you know, hats off to you and your team. Looking at the highlights with the Tinker Zone, the robotics, the mobile outreach, and just I love what the library does for our community, and also the sustainability aspects of the circular economy and that and reuse and sharing and you know, all of that just by nature of who and what our libraries are just does by nature. So congratulations on a great year in review, and thank you for all the work that you do for our community and making everybody's lives better. So.
Anyone else? I'd just like to say thank you, Luke, to you and your team. I never cease to be amazed when I go into the library, which is actually quite frequently, the usage and the way people are using the libraries. You know, I go into Rangiora Library and I see the Rangiora Lighthouse program, people there in the Tinker Zone. I saw the digital coaches, and they really did have a really good rapport with people. You could tell they were just sitting there. They had the time to actually sit with people and go through their problems and help them. So I continue to be amazed, and you and your team are doing a very, very good job, and I thank you. Anybody else? Right, back to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Those against? That is carried. Thank you very much, Luke.
Thank you.
Tessa. Now we have the year in review from the community team. The library one was only for 3 months. So they did squeeze a lot into 3 months.
Right, actually,
Yes.
it's just 3 months.
But Tessa has the whole year here.
Indeed.
Kia ora koutou. Thank you very much for receiving this report, which it provides an overview of the work of the community team for the last financial year. It would normally be presented a wee bit sooner, but with an incoming council, we felt that it made sense to present it to this meeting. The report celebrates the community as a whole. As you know, with community development, our role is to connect people, to pick up ideas and help them to come into fruition. And some of that work happens behind the scenes, and by intent, we try and make sure that it's the community that shines. I will take the report as read and happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Mayor Redman.
Thank you, Tessa. An excellent report. On page 121, you refer to the 4 well-beings, social, cultural, environmental, and economic. Given that the government currently, with their local government systems improvements amendment bill, don't seem to see community development as a core activity. What changes, if any, are you seeing in your space?
None. And you know, and that's that sounds like a throwaway answer, but it's not really. So the council's community outcomes align with those well-beings. So we're making sure that we give effect to council's community outcomes, which are what you're referring to. Also, it's very important for us to be able to prove the viability and the community value of what we do, and that will continue. And it's well documented that if you have strong social well-being in the community, you have strong environmental well-being, the economic well-being follows. So I think really in terms of social outcomes, economic outcomes and environmental outcomes for the district, it's really important that we're thinking holistically about the work that's done. But
yeah, don't construe my question as saying I agree. In fact, I think the well-beings contribute to a healthy society.
It's a good question. It's a good question to ask, and it's a good question for us to ask ourselves as well, because it's important that that we're reflective about whether we are meeting the needs of both the community and the current political environment. But I don't think that will change. It's not our intention.
I hope not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Judy.
Thank you. Tessa, thanks very much for this. It's a good report. Just looking at the photos for that trade sector mental health breakfast, was that the one that was started up with Waghorn Builders?
Yes, it was. We've done, may not actually, it may be, there are two.
Yeah, the two boys.
So we support the Waghorn Builders one that's held in Kaiapoi every year.
Yes.
Last year we brought Lance Burdett down.
Yes,
You may see him on television. He's a police negotiator and he's a specialist in men's mental health. So we brought him down and we ran a trades breakfast in Rangiora. And we also had an offering to the general public, and particularly focusing on the sport and recreation sector, who are working with a lot of young men.
Thanks very much, because that's a really important area to target. So thank you.
Councillor Fulton.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Tess, for the report. I noticed in 4.3, the tab there, safe communities, welcoming communities and empowered communities. I know within my ward area, I had a really interesting visit to Ngaitahu Farms, just happened before the elections, and Carla out there, the lodge manager, she said things like, they actually have never actually had their neighbours on their premises on Ngaitahu Farms, some substantial farms, like they've been there 10 years. I was just absolutely sort of shocked and surprised, and they have some very difficult interactions out there in that Airwell community. And that they are disempowered, they are isolated, and I suppose the responsibility goes all round, but are there ways that we can connect some of these communities, particularly out there? I know how fractious and heated that, communities like that can be. Whether that's community breakfast, barbecues, or something. There's just something fundamentally missing. And the other point was just an example, by way of example, was that very few of their staff, they've got something like 40 to 50 properties, very few of those people were involved to vote.
That's right.
They just went on the register, on the roll. Carla had to run around trying to get people to vote. I mean, that's a lot of people, potentially 100 people. They've had no conception of how or where to vote. And so you talk about having a voice in local, regional, national consultations. And I'd sort of, maybe it's something I can come back to with a specific, but to me it's an example of a disempowered community.
I think that's a really good example, and we have done some work with Ngaitahu Farms, particularly in the migrant space, where families of migrant farmers have come and not been connected into the community, and alongside that Oxford Community Trust do some work with them. But I agree with you, it's probably a good target community to focus on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Jeff.
It's interesting, the social wellbeing's taken out, the full wellbeing's taken out of the Local Government Act, but I see it's quite heavily supported in the Emergency Management Act that's just out. So there's a conflict of interest there for local government, and it's one of the most important things to get right after an emergency. So it's worth keeping that in mind.
Any other questions? You move?
I will second from the chair.
Deputy Mayor Redmond.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a good report, and it does highlight a number of issues. As Jeff has mentioned, removal of the four wellbeings, I think is detrimental. Nonetheless, we can still do some of those activities, whether they're in the legislation or not. Community facilities, i.e. the buildings, bricks and mortar, are regarded as core activities, but not community development. And it's the people that really matter, as you know in your area. It's a lesson the government doesn't appear to have heard. Your team contribute to a healthy society in waimakariri, and we see the benefit of that all the time. So I've been a convert from when I first came along, thinking, you know, just roads, pipes and things. So you're in a very important area. And your report highlights a wide range of initiatives that you and your team have undertaken. You've addressed harm, inclusion, social connection, local voice, and so on. And I mean, we have, I was on the Waimakariri Health Advisory Group for a number of years, as you know, but you have other groups, Age Friendly, the Access Group. I mean, these groups all contribute to a healthy society. So I think we're a council who managed to balance the core activities that we need with community development. And your budget is a very small proportion of what we spend as a council. So I look forward to a good future for your team, irrespective of the government's view. So thank you for your report.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Redmond. I totally endorse those comments, and I certainly look forward to the future, being the portfolio holder for community development and wellbeing. And yeah, and I have been involved through the Access Group with the work that you have done, and through quite a few other groups as well. And I see the impact that you have, the support that you provide, that you and your team provide, and the well-being is, I mean, it's what makes Waimakariri a great place to live, to work. I mean, it's great having good water and everything like that, but it is the social, the societal care that we help with that actually really provides that support to people and makes it a great place. So, thank you very much. Councillor Doody.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I'm a bit saddened by the about the forest, the farming out there, that there isn't something done, you know, to get those people together. And I'm just wondering, you know, down the track, perhaps we could might be able to have a talk and see what we can do that could encourage some of those rural, because it's not just the farming, the guys, it's also their partners are actually isolated. And, you know, we need to be thinking about that, because some partners actually don't drive, and you can't drive, and they are actually isolated on their property. And that property doesn't look out onto a road. It's got usually a big driveway down it, and they're hidden behind hedges. And these are things that we need to be seriously considering for the well-being of not just the farm worker, but also the wife or partner. That's my 10 pennies.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Councillor McLaren and then Councillor Mills.
Thank you, Tessa. Look, I've always been particularly impressed by the approach of your team, not purporting or trying to offer specialist services directly, but always ensuring your role is clearly defined by enabling the provision and delivery of the services by the experts. And in particular, you know, there's just so many examples of where you do that. Violence Free North Canterbury, bringing together all those specialist services. The Older Persons Expo earlier in the year, there's the Waimakariri Stronger Communities conference that brought people from outside the district who were amazed. I heard the comments that, oh, is this a council-run event? And I would correct them and say, well, they've enabled this to happen. They've made it easy for these things to occur. And in particular, I like your quote. I think you really hit the nail on the head in that nice to have, stick to your core functions argument when you said, and I'll apologies if I've incorrectly quote you, that with social well-being, the economic well-being follows. And I think that's absolutely true. Thank you.
Councillor Williams. Yes, just following on, I endorse all the comments that have made thus far. Our community team is amazing. There's a reason why there's a phrase, the waimakariri way, and why the DIA actually gave us that mobile truck, because our community team's awesome. And I am so proud whenever I look at all the things that you and your team get into, you know, and having taken part in a lot of those things. You've got your social services, waimakariri, the Drug and Alcohol Harm Prevention Steering Group, Youth Council, the Civil Defense, all, you know, local welfare committee and emergency hubs, all those sort of things, the GLOW group, arts, you name it. If it's to do with the people, we're in there, and it does make a huge difference. As far as our community outcomes go, it was community outcomes. We consulted on those, and we put them in quite separately from the Local Government Act. That was our community outcomes, not our responsibilities under the Act, which have been removed. So it's a totally different thing, not to be confused for anybody that might look at those and think, oh, you shouldn't have those. Well, actually, this is a different purpose. So, but I will leave you with whakatoki. No tururu, naku tururu, kaora ai te iwi. With your food basket and my food basket, the people will thrive. So, kia ora. Councillor Fulton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just touching back on that point, and I thank you for the Councillor Doodie's commentary there as well, of a specific of the Airwell community, just an example of social disconnection, but also, as you say, there are numerous groups, council groups, Oxford Community Trust, trying their to great effect in some cases to try and bring people back into the community fold. I noted in the report informing people at 5.3.3, informing people about the issues and opportunities that affect them. That's also a potential touch point, I think, for our community team to be out there being present in the communities, whether it's pop-up libraries or workshop days. I've recently been dealing with the Odyssey House and at West Earton, and that's another example of people potentially, I think, misunderstanding the nature of drug and alcohol services. Yeah, I won't go too deep dive, but I'm still in the midst of this one. A lot of people see it as a potential halfway house or a prison. I've heard those descriptions.
I know.
That's a real lack of understanding, and that's a real driver for antagonism in the community. Just because people aren't understanding a basic piece of public and social infrastructure and what it's actually doing.
Health.
Yeah, health. It's a health proposition. It's not a justice proposition. So again, I'm sure you're doing lots of valuable work. It's a really comprehensive report. Thank you for your work. Keep at the community cohesion thing and the public education work that you do, because it's great. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll prioritise Airwell. That was useful information. Thank you.
Right of reply. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to say that I've been going to citizenship ceremonies almost weekly, but not quite weekly, with the Mayor. And there's a video that has the Governor-General welcoming people to the country and so on. And she uses the, well, I think it's now well-known Maori proverb, what is the most important thing in the world? It's the people, it's the people, it's the people. And that emphasises the value of human relationships and community above all else. So I think you've got a very good advocate for community development with the Governor-General. So well done, and we look forward to you continuing your good work.
Why don't you donation from it?
Right, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against? That is carried. Thank you very much. Pass on our thanks to the team.
Sure.
They're probably listening, so thank you.
Strong. Advocate for you.
Right, we have no correspondence. Portfolio updates. The first one is Councillor Cairns, which was green space. He did email it through to members. Chris, anything you'd like to highlight from it?
No, it's been emailed to everybody, it's fine.
I don't think you guys got it though. No, we'll see it through. You got it, did you, Courtney?
Yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah. Any questions around it? No. Right, community facilities, Councillor McLaren.
Thank you. Look, I don't want to repeat anything that's already been presented. Obviously, we've covered a lot of areas that are in the community facilities portfolio, but it's a new space for me, obviously. But it had been really well supported by staff as I seek to ensure there's a seamless portfolio transition, especially in that continuity for staff. And special shout out to Chris. You've been very generous with your time and patiently responding to my many questions, providing me with information that's been really helpful as I come to understand this portfolio. It included taking me on a tour of some of the community facilities where I met some of your staff, and that's really helped me gain a really good understanding of the current issues and future aspirations for these facilities. Just to dive down into a couple of those areas with the main power stadium. I do note that it is at capacity now already during peak times, which I didn't necessarily take as a bad thing because it demonstrates what a popular and valuable community asset this is. And with that theme is staff outreach. I heard about staff reaching out to high schools, bringing them through in groups to encourage after-school use. And while we're talking about a stadium over here, we had the recent youth survey that identified the need for suitable spaces for youth to hang out. And there's another big, beautiful facility to an anticipated increase of usage because of that. And also been watching with interest, and I'm frequently driving and walking around the areas as watching as Belgrove Boulevard inches ever closer to the stadium, and eventually it'll be a nice direct route all the way from the south via the Eastern Link Road, which will inevitably lead to greater patronage of the facility as it becomes less of somewhere out on the edge of town to be in almost, a centre in itself. With regard to the libraries, like being said, Luke, thank you again so much for all your support and advice, and small apology about the Chamber Gallery, I do have to mention that, of course. And I don't want to repeat anything that's been presented area, but I do want to repeat that big number, almost 400,000 people visiting the libraries, and that being a 10% increase on the previous years. It's just incredible. And what is really evident to me is that libraries are more than just books. These are community centres that provide warm, safe and inviting space for everyone, from the very young to the very old, and I'm always moved by the happy buzz in these spaces as I walk through the doors. They're really absolutely fabulous, so thank you for that. Over in the aquatic space, we've talked a lot about that, and I was delighted to be able to go finally, after all these decades, through the staff-only doors and admire the huge chlorine plant, which I think I put my arms around. We had a good discussion about small African villages who would sing songs about such a thing in their village. Look, it's to think that 23,000 visitors to our aquatic facilities in November alone is just phenomenal numbers, which just tell us it's a clear affirmation of the value that these facilities provide to the communities. And while there's that tricky element of user pays, especially after listening to some of the earlier discussion about fees in other areas, it is still very affordable. $4.30 for a child, $7.60 for an adult to visit the pool, and discounts with those concession cards, which unfortunately won't expire after a year, because that was always my reason for getting my value for money out of my card. Now I'll put it off for next year to use them up. But it does remain an affordable activity for our hard-pushed families in the district, especially when you compare it to things like going to the movies. Just that alone, especially as that is usually followed by a visit to expensive fast food outlets. It is really good value for money, and we're just so fortunate that we've got the quality of the facilities that we have. And it has been mentioned, but I do want to just highlight there's always a risk in councils and really big organisations of staff being quite siloed and focused on their own areas. But just seeing there's a lot of cross-pollination. We've heard about the libraries teams that they're going out into the community mobile, but also the aquatic teams, getting out of the pool, going out, and that Y-Swim program is just incredible. 7,000 people, 27 schools supported, and actually not focusing on the council's own facilities, but delivering those in school pools. So I just really like that, especially as we seek to ensure that the rural communities receive the same levels of service and accessibility and availability as those of us who live in the urban environment. We've heard, well, read about green space, but we'll just mention a couple of other areas that relate specifically to the facilities. Oxford, nice movie theatre environment with the Oxford Town Hall, but the projector there is up for renewal. It's a popular place and another area that brings the community together, to flag that. Also, with supported by Red Cross, there's a number of AEDs, defibrillators being renewed around the district, so you might see that happening. And Rangiora Bowls, we're looking forward to hearing more about this. I understand there's some good data on valuations, as well as some guidance from these RMA reforms, and that will be, I understand we'll be having a workshop about with the council sometime in the new year. Yeah, thank you, Chris. And it is my report. Patai.
Any questions? No. Right, portfolio update for community development and wellbeing, which is me. So thank you to Tessa for supplying the update for me, as I still come to grips with everything. So the Youth Action Plan, which is a huge piece of work, is being finalised, ready for presentation to this committee at the February meeting, and then subsequent community consultation. The Welcoming Communities Plan consultation is now complete, and the draft document will also be presented at the February meeting for adoption. So it's been a successful funding application to ensure continuity of the English language classes and other activities for migrant newcomers. It's good news. And also successful funding for youth-led activities into the new year, including building on the Dudley Park Activation Project. So the support's continuing for the age-friendly advisory group. A project control group is being established to guide and monitor implementation of the accessibility plan, given that this is a council action plan with deliverables identified by various teams across council as part of its development. So the team are working with Salvation Army and other agencies on a sustainable solution to the increasingly complex homeless cases that we are seeing in the district. They are working individually with a number of groups on strategic planning and governance, as well as funding. Working with the Arts Trust on more streamlined governance and increased collaboration, and also working on cataloguing and gathering relevant information on local arts collection trust works, and I understand that's quite a big piece of work. So, given the time of year coming up, and there is pressure on the food banks, so that is continuing, with strategic support being provided for food security. Youth unemployment continues to be a priority, but funding has been acquired for increased capacity. It's good news. And planning is underway for a health service forum in the new year in collaboration with the Health Advisory Group and Social Services Waimakariri that will address access issues, silos, and consider how to increase the health competency of the wider Waimakariri. Some of the events that I've attended just in recent times, or that I've been involved with, the Glow Multicultural Dinner that saw some newer residents attending, and they also took it as an opportunity to get some photos, to actually build up the stock of photos for community publications, as we were a wee bit lacking in diversity. So, the Older Persons Expo was held in October at the Rangiora RSA with a good turnout of stalls and attendees. So delving into Councillor McLaren's area, the newly marked bocce courts at Main House Stadium. Now, these are the first dedicated courts in New Zealand. They were launched with an invitational tournament with 8 Canterbury players participating, including 2 local players. The response from players, supporters and Bocce New Zealand was very, very positive. Sport Canterbury have produced a video with interviews and coverage of the day, and that was a project driven by Zach Lappin, and big thanks to him for pushing that through, and supported by the community team. The Waimakariri Access Group is planning to hold their regular awareness training around accessibility for staff and elected members on the morning of Thursday the 12th of March next year, and I would encourage all elected members who haven't attended that in the past to put that in their diaries to attend. And that is being supported by the community team as well. The community team also supporting the Kaiapoi Men's Shed, who are well underway with their move. But just you know, it is taking a wee bit of support for them. So, looking in this lead up to Christmas, there have been a lot of community events, of course, and they bring joy. There's no doubt about it. They bring joy, and they are part of this district. So we've had the Santa parades and the market days. And I mean, the market days are great because they bring business to small store holders, but also to the businesses. The Wellbeing North Canterbury Trust Christmas giving trees, which are hosted by so many businesses and organisations, and they collect new gifts for children and teens. And of course, the successful Toot for Tucker, which tops up the food banks. The Optimus International North Canterbury Christmas Tree Festival, as we can see through the door there. And we have all heard in meetings how the delight that brings to people. And of course the Merrill Christmas morning tea, which is very well coordinated by the community team, which is quite an effort, but is giving thanks to those organisations and people that give of themselves to the community. So lots of things happening and lots of things coming up. Some good funding has been acquired, which is wonderful, and there's my update. So we had an arts and culture update from Councillor Cairns, and he emailed that around. Property, Deputy Mayor Redmond.
Thank you. Nothing to report from me, really. I've learned about the portfolio at today's meeting, so you all know as much as me at the moment, but that'll change, I'm sure, in the new year.
Thank you. Councillor Doody.
Well,
housing.
Well, if Councillor Doody hadn't fallen over and broken his shoulder, Chris would have taken me up to new housing in Kaiapoi, but that's going to come up in the new year, so probably nothing. I haven't done anything.
Just a week.
Oh, you did? Oh,
do you want to give the update, Chris?
Update me. I'm sorry about that because I was really looking forward to it, but
it's going really well.
Yeah.
It's actually amazing how fast they're actually bringing it up out of the ground. Duncan's here and he can give you heaps of an update, but there's been a few obvious coming out of the ground things that we've had to put into the spend from contingency, but other than that, it's out of the ground at the moment. All 4 of the individual units of 5 blocks are fully out of the ground, and prior to Christmas we expect that they'll actually be fully wrapped. Roofs already on. those individual HVAC systems which are going to provide that 18-degree constant air for each of the 4 units. The pads for those have been laid down and they're all in place. The car park was actually done first, so that's not sealed, but all of the pre-work's been completed. So it's all at the moment 100% on track and looking good in terms of budget as well. So in the new year, once we actually have one of them completely finished and able to show, then we'll get some people down there and you can have a walk through it and actually have a look.
Well, thank you, Chris.
And the other thing is the refurbishments are also continuing with a good plan approach with Kim Brooke and our undertaking that for Trolley Courts, and a big push for maintenance in all of our housing for the elderly units is happening prior to Christmas, and the 2 units which are currently vacant in Oxford, we're finalising the refurbishments to those as well.
That's good. So thank you very much, Chris.
I think we also advocated to the Minister to try and secure that HUD funding as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we'll try. We haven't heard back about that, but we'll keep pushing.
Do you want to give an update on the Pegasus Community Centre? Or next week?
I mean, Ish is here. If you want an update on the Pegasus Community Centre, Ish would be the right person to give that update. Hello, Ish.
Throw you under the bus. No warning. Go.
Thank you. Work started in October. There was a bit of quite a number of issues that obviously happens as you dig into the ground. We had a bit of water, irrigation was found, gas ducts, things like that, that we had to manage. So all of those have been resolved now. So at the moment, they have started, completed the excavation of the car park. They are undertaking the pour of the facility in 2 stages. So our first pour is happening in 2 days, 5 a.m. on Thursday. So that's really exciting. The second pour is happening at the end of January. And the reason they're doing that is originally it was actually meant to be in 1 stage, but due to all the complications that happened with the groundwork, we've got a really good contractor on board, Amalgamated Builders, who have just been really responsive, getting on with it, coming up with solutions. So what they offered was, let's do it in 2 stages because of the shutdown with Christmas, and that, you know, makes sure that we are a little bit behind schedule, but it just makes sure that we're not so much behind that we would have been if we'd done it in 1 stage. So after Christmas, when they get in, they will look at doing all the services on the second side, and then they'll be doing the pour of the other side of the building. So the retaining walls, precast panels went up yesterday. So yeah, it's looking really good. It's looking a bit more like a building now rather than a big hole. Yeah. So we're scheduled at this stage for opening end of October, November.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Very much. Right, we don't have any questions. We have no urgent general business. So I would like to move that we move to public excluded. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Emmons. Public excluded. Is anybody feeling hot?
We should ask Bruce to